सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। प्रणम्य रामाभिधमात्मधीपदम् जगत्प्रसूतिस्थितिसंयमायनम् तदात्मकान् शङ्करपूर्वकान् गुरून् मयोपदेशार्थविभाग उच्यते। In the passage 90, the Shishya disciple raised it out. Nanu evam bhagavan chaitanya swarupi agantukam praptam. If what is not in the deep sleep is nashtam Bhadhyam. So what you do not experience in deep sleep either is not there or is negated, then Chaitanya api agantukam praptam. In deep sleep state I do not experience consciousness also. Therefore consciousness also becomes agantuka, incidental. Meaning consciousness is there in the waking and dream states, not in the deep sleep state. Swapna jagratayoga sushupte anupalabdehe. Swapna jagratayoga, as the consciousness I experience in waking and dream, sushupte anupalabdehe. In sushupti, I do not perceive or experience the consciousness. Never. One conclusion is agantukam, consciousness comes and goes. In waking and dream it comes, deep sleep it goes. Either that, achaitanya rupava asyamaham, or inherently I am unconscious by nature. And that is why I experience the deep sleep state. So now this is the point here. Whether is there consciousness in the deep sleep state? The teacher said, na tat anupattehe. To conclude that there is no consciousness in deep sleep state, and therefore consciousness agantukam is incidental, anupattehe, it cannot be arrived at by reasoning. So how did you come to this conclusion? Chaitanya Swaram Chet Agantukam Pashyasi. Well, if you see that Chaitanyam consciousness Agantukam is incidental, it is there now, not there later or at that time. Pasya, if you see that, well, you may see it. Tat anupattehe na etat varshashayanapi upatya kalaytum shaknutoyam. Vayam tu nyay. So you came to this conclusion that consciousness is agantaka, is incidental. Because you experience that in waking and dream and do not experience in deep sleep state, from that you came to this conclusion by reasoning. Vayam tu nyaya pramana kushala. We are adept in reasoning as well as pramanam, the means of knowledge. In this case, pramanam also is Shruti. Tat Chaitanya Swaruvam Agantukam Drashtum. To see that Chaitanya is Agantukam, Ghatayitum va, or arrive at that conclusion with reasoning. Now, the Shaknuma Varsasakta means that regardless of what efforts we make, we cannot see the fact that consciousness is incidental, nor can we arrive at that conclusion by reasoning. When we take into account the Nyaya and Pramana, Nyaya reasoning, Pramana the Shastra. So in the passage 91, the Tika said, Ayam bhavaha chaitanyasya agantakatvam chaitanyene gruhyate kimva achaitanyena. Alright, you say that you do not experience consciousness in the deep sleep state. Who says this? Chaitanyena. Is it consciousness that says that I do not experience consciousness in deep sleep state? Achaitanyena, or is it unconscious that says that I do not experience consciousness? Is it consciousness that says I do not experience consciousness? Or is it unconscious that says I do not experience consciousness? Na adhya, consciousness cannot say that I do not experience consciousness because one cannot experience oneself. Swagrahyatve svavritti virodhat. If I am the experiencer of myself, swagrahyatve. Grahana means perceiving, knowing, experiencing. So if one experiences oneself or one perceives oneself, then one simultaneously becomes the perceiver as well as perceived, because I perceive myself. So myself is the object of perception. I perceive meaning I am the subject of perception. So for me to say that I do not experience myself as consciousness, I do not perceive myself as consciousness, then I must simultaneously be the subject and object. That which it cannot be. Ni angulyangrena tadeva sprishyate. Just as with the tip of the finger, I cannot touch the tip of the finger. Asidharayava asidhara chidyate. Nor can I cut into pieces the sword by sword itself. Alright. You can say that consciousness does not experience itself. But cannot one consciousness experience another consciousness? So I am consciousness, and can I not experience another consciousness? Napi anya chaitanyena anya chaitanyasya agantukatvam grahyam. One consciousness again cannot say that other consciousness is or not there. Anyatasyapi and Adyapi asiddhe, because nobody can establish that one consciousness is different from another consciousness, because consciousness is unqualified. In unqualified thing, or what is meant by unqualified is, you cannot distinguish consciousness with any attributes or qualifications. They are able to say that this consciousness is like this, other consciousness is like that, provided like this has some attributes, other attributes. Just as light, daylight. We cannot separate daylight in this corner from that corner because the daylight has no distinction from each other. Similarly, consciousness is without any distinction, therefore you cannot have one consciousness and another content. For one consciousness to be different from other consciousness, this should have its own attributes, and that should have their own attribute. For me to be able to objectify you, I must have one kind of attribute. You must have a different kind of attribute, then I can experience you. But consciousness is without attribute. Therefore, there is no distinction between this consciousness and that consciousness. Therefore, another consciousness cannot say that that consciousness is incidental, because there cannot be duality in consciousness. Alright? So consciousness cannot say that consciousness is incidental. Then, is it that an unconscious entity says that consciousness is coming and going? It came to me, I became conscious, it went away, I became unconscious. Nadvitya jarasya chit adhina prakasadaya chit prakashakatva ayogat. What is unconscious is called jada. What is jada? Paraprakasham, that is illumined by something else. So this unconscious entity which wants to draw any conclusion itself is illumined by consciousness. See, for me to say this is to know some object, for me to perceive this object such as a part, I should illumine the object. How? The eyes, when illumine this part, then alone the part can become the object of perception. And eyes in turn are illumined by the mind, and mind in turn is illumined by I, meaning that I illumine this object called part. So the knower is the illuminator of what is known. But what is jada? What is unconscious? Itself is illumined. For a jada to be there, itself requires to be illumined by consciousness. So how can illuminate the illuminator? Like a part requires a lamp to illumine that. How can the part illumine the lamp, the illuminator? Cannot be. So unconscious thing, if I am unconscious, and then I say that consciousness comes and goes, unconscious for it to be, for it to shine itself requires consciousness to begin with, you follow? And therefore consciousness exists before the unconscious. So how can unconscious say that consciousness comes in? It cannot illumine the illuminator. Achaitanyasya aprakasaya chit prakashakatva yoga. Achaitanya means aprakasham, meaning that itself is non-shining, not self-effulgent. And how can it illumine something that is self-effulgent? So this is the reasoning. Can we prove by reasoning that Chaitanya or consciousness is agantukam? So we assume two things here. Is it consciousness that says that consciousness is agantuka? Cannot, because consciousness cannot objectify itself. There is one consciousness that says the another consciousness, agantuka, there is no distinction in consciousness. There is no such thing as one consciousness, another consciousness. The unconscious that says that consciousness is agantuka, incidental, unconscious itself requires to be eliminated, therefore it cannot eliminate it. Atah, so what is conclusion? Chaitanyam na agantukamiti. Therefore, consciousness cannot be agantuka, cannot be incidental. Shrutisya bhavati. So this is nyaya. Then pramanam. Yadvai tanna pashyati, pashyanvai tanna pashyati. Nahi drashtu drushte viparilopa vidyate avinashitvat. In the deep sleep state, this person does not, this self does not see anything. In deep sleep state, the self does not see anything. Pashyanvai. When in deep sleep he says, I do not see anything, Pashyanvai tanna pashyati. Seeing he says, I do not see. Meaning that, when I say I do not see, I mean that I do not see something with qualification. When do I say that I see something? When I see some name and form like pots and cloth, etc., which have qualifications, name and form, which may have, some color, some other kind of an attribute. Then I see, this is my orientation. My orientation is that I say that I saw something, provided that thing had some qualification, then it can become the object of my seeing. In deep sleep state, I do not see anything. When I say I do not see anything, I do not experience anything, I am not conscious of anything, then in what sense am I saying? Am I saying I am not conscious of anything, or I am not conscious of anything particular? Am I devoid of consciousness in general, or am I devoid of the particular consciousness? Samanya jnanam and vishesha jnanam. See, for example, when gold is formed into various ornaments, the gold is the universal, ornament is the particular. Particular cannot be unless the universal is. Universal is the mupadana karanam, material cause for the particular, just as clay is for the pots and pans. Similarly, ghatajnanam, patajnanam, the cognition of pot, cognition of cloth, they are all particular knowledge. Jnanam, ghatajnanam means jnanam which is qualified by ghatatvam. What is patajnanam? Jnanam qualified by patatvam. What is a bangle? Gold qualified by bangleness. What is a chain? Gold qualified by chainness. Because chain is a particular expression. Particular cannot be unless samanya is. Samanya alone manifests as particular. So also when we say pot knowledge, cloth knowledge, in that the knowledge is the same. Nantah prajnam, na bahish prajnam, no bhaitah prajnam. When Mandukya Upanishad says Atma is na antah prajna, na bahish prajna, na ubhaitah prajna, na prajna, etc. He says jna is constant in all of them. He doesn't say jna is not antah prajna. Jna means consciousness, qualified innerness. That innerness means that qualified consciousness is not there. Bahish prajna again, jna qualified by bahi. So outwardness is not there. So this is all denial of qualified consciousness. So when I say I do not see anything, what it means that I do not see anything in particular. When I only see something particular, then I say I see. In darkness, I do not see anything particular. So what is it? I don't see anything. This is my orientation. When do I see something? When I see something particular. And in darkness, when there is something particular, I say, I don't see anything. Pashyanvai tanna pashyati. When one says, I do not see anything in darkness, seeing he says, I do not see, because to see that I do not see also, he has to see. Eyes are seeing. So consciousness is always seeing, illumining. In deep sleep state, the consciousness illumines the absence of everything. So to say that in the deep sleep state I do not experience anything, which is what a person who wakes up says. A person who wakes up from deep sleep says, Na kinchit avedisham, I did not see anything. So what would a Vedantin say? I did not experience anything in particular. He cannot say, I did not experience anything. Because to say that I do not experience anything, the experience must be there. To say I don't experience anything. Yadvai tanna pashyati, pashyanvai tanna pashyati. Then in deep sleep state, one does not see anything. While seeing, he does not see. See in what sense? By being conscious, he is conscious, but does not see anything in particular. Why do you say that the seeing continues even in deep sleep state? So there is a seer. When I say I see a pot, then as a seer or a drashta, I see the pot. As a drashta, I see the cloth. When pot and cloth are not there, the ghatat drashta is not there, patat drashta is not there. So I say I am not there. How can you see you are not there? The drashta is not there, but drashta is not your swarupa. What is your drashti is your swarupa? Consciousness is your nature. When consciousness assumes a particular form, then he becomes the drashta. Same consciousness with another form, it becomes drishya. A third form becomes darshanam. So drashta, drishya, darshanam, all of these are nothing but the specific or particular expressions of the universal consciousness. And that is always there. What is meant by deep sleep is that all particulars merge. A thing can merge which is mergeable. What can merge? That which is created can merge. Like a pot is created, therefore pot can merge. Where can it merge? It can merge into its material cause, which is clay. How about clay? Can clay merge? That which is not immersed cannot merge. I don't see anything, but you don't see pot and pan, but the clay is very much there. So the particular consciousness is called the drashta, the seer. Particular consciousness is called drishya, the object of perception. And particular consciousness is called perception, darshanam. So what is meant by deep sleep is all these particulars merge. So what is mergeable alone can merge, and all names and forms which again arise when you wake up, they merge when you go to sleep. But what does not emerge cannot merge, the consciousness does not emerge. And therefore it cannot merge, it's always there. So, nahin drashtu drashte viparalopa vidyate avinashita. The drashta suffers the cessation. Deep sleep state, drashta has merged, has suffered a cessation. But drashti, the consciousness which is universal, uncreated, does not merge, it ever remains, it ever shines in its own light. Avinashitvat, the drashta is vinashi. Drashta is the particular expression of consciousness, and that particular always merges because it emerges. Vinashi, it is perishable. But just clay, which is a material cause, is imperishable with reference to a part, so also all the drashta, drishya, darshanam, all these particular expressions which emerge from consciousness. They merge, but consciousness never merges because unmergeable, avinashitvat. You see, ultimately, when things are vinashi, perishable, there has to be something imperishable. A perishable thing cannot exist unless an imperishable basis is there. Imperishable is universal, perishable is samanya. Then how come I don't see anything? If I am there, you are there in deep sleep state also. Then how come I don't see anything? Tad dvitiyamasti tada anyad vibhaktam yat pashed. So when can I see something like a pot? When pot is different from me. Pot is different, the drishya is different, the drashta is different. Then alone the perception of a particular object can take place. Meaning that this vyavahara of drashta, drishya, darshanam, shrota, shrotavya, shravanam, etc. Every vyavahara or interaction that involves these three factors, that vyavahara can take place provided each factor is different from the other. Drishya is different, drashta is different, darshanam is different. When these distinctions are there, that is when any vyavahara can take place. Vyavahara. Existence does not require three. Vyavahara requires three. Interaction requires three. What's vyavahara? Seeing, hearing, thinking, talking, walking. So in deep sleep state, what happens? All the distinctions are merged. Therefore, the vyavahara of seeing, hearing doesn't take place. For seeing to take place, there has to be a seer, an object that is seen, in the act of seeing. All these three are different from each other, then alone the transaction called seeing can take place. So dvitiyam must be there. For any kind of vyavahara, interaction to take place, there must be duality. Drashta, drishya and darshanam. Then I say, I see, I hear, I think, I know, I smell, etc. All these things are taken up there. But what is seen, what is heard, what is smelled, all of these are particular expressions of consciousness. That particularity is merged. So the seer, hearer, thinker, smeller, all these are particular expressions of consciousness. They have merged. Seeing, hearing, thinking, particular expressions have merged. But the universal, of which these are particular, cannot merge. The duality has merged. What is called waking is a transaction in which there is a duality of the seer, seen, seeing, hearer, hearing, heard. And dream also is similar. Not that in fact there is a duality. Just as in the ocean, what is there is water. Comes out as wave, one wave, second wave, etc. And those two waves may interact with each other in whichever way. So for interaction we require two. Different from each other. Or at least thinking that they are different from each other. Without two, no vyavahara can take place. I can be seer provided there is a scene. I can be drashta provided there is drishyam. And the drashta and drishyam are connected by what we call darshanam, seeing. So whether this waking, all this business is real or not, that in the waking state all this vyavahara takes place, is it real or is it drama? Just as one water alone becomes so many waves, and then one wave thinks that I am bigger, another one, etc. All things can take place. Just as a bangle thinks that I am superior to a chain and whatever it is. Because there is duality. Bangle is different, and chain is different, and hearing is different. But is this different the real difference? If this difference was real, it will never go away. That is called real abaditam. It's called satyam abaditam. That can never end. Or avinashi, where nasha or dhamsa is not there, destruction is not there, and bada or negation is not. That's called satyam. So that's why nashtam syat baditam va syat. Either when you don't see a thing, either it is destroyed, it is gone, or it has been falsified. In case of rope snake, you do not see the snake. What has happened? Snake is falsified in the reality of rope. In case of the clothes, and these examples are given, dhanavastradi, the money is there, garments are there, various things are there. They go away. The darshanam nasha. So these physical things can get destroyed because they are created. And rope snake, which are superimposition, they become baditam, they are negated. There are two ways that a thing cannot be seen. And so, whether all these things that we see, is this duality real? If this duality of the seer seen was real, it would always remain, it would persist. The fact that it does not persist in deep sleep state means that it is not real because either it is destroyed or it is negated. This is where Vedanta is driving. The purpose of analyzing the experience of deep sleep is ultimately to establish the non-duality of consciousness, or non-duality about consciousness. Whatever it is consciousness. But because we live in this duality, and because we take the duality, apparent duality of the seer seen as real, and we think that that alone is reality, where that does not exist is not real, So waking is real because the real duality is there. Deep sleep is all suspect. What is going on there? Nothing is there because the reality is not. What is reality? Duality is not there. There was nothing is there. I say something is there when this duality is there, and nothing is there when the duality is not there, taking for granted that this duality is a reality. So, natu tadvidiyam astit anyad vibhaktam yat pashyed. That there is a drishya, object of processing. There is a drashta, which is a seer. There is darshanam, which is act of seeing. The waking and dream states are characterized by this kind of triad or duality, we call it, where just by samskara or by habit we assume or we take that duality to be the ultimate reality. It's something that creates duality between the object and subject. It is like the walls create, or the wall of the part, creating duality between one part space and another part space. And part space thinking that that's a reality. When both the parts are broken, then that thing goes away. There's nothing remaining now. Who says? Space says. Space says that, hey, the reality is, I am there when this space 1 and space 2, and then we interact with each other. When both the parts are gone, both the enclosures are gone, there's nothing now. When do I say there is something? When the transaction of A and B is there, then I think existence is. So I say existence is I am when I am a drashta, shrota, manta, vijnata, as in waking in dream states. Deep sleep state, I cease to be there. So I cease to be there, I think. Because my conclusion about myself is that I exist when I do something. I don't exist when no vyavahara is there. I am there because vyavahara is there. The equation is different. Vyavahara is there because I am there. For the transaction of the seer, seeing, etc. to take place, that vibhaktam, that second thing must be there. The part which is drishya, separated from drashta, the subject, then only the seeing of the part can take place. That kind of transaction called seeing, hearing, smelling, knowing does not take place because the separation between the subject and object is not there in deep sleep because it is not real. In the waking state, when I thought that that distinction is there, then also it is not there. But since I am accustomed to taking as real what is not really there, then when reality comes, either nothing is there. When something is there, when the duality is there. Nothing is there when duality is not there. So how do you say nothing is there? Who says that? Natu tadvitiyam asti tatanyat vivaktam yat pashet. That second thing is not there, which you can see. So I don't see anything because the second thing to be seen is not there. Doesn't mean I am not. So the seer is not there. You can say the seer eye is not there in deep sleep. The hearer eye is not. To say I am not there, no, that's the big thing. What one should say is that the seer eye is not there, hearer eye is not there, knower eye is not there. That would be right statement. No, I am not there. Meaning that when a knower is not there, I am not there. No, that's a very big conclusion. So he says, where am I in deep sleep? If I am consciousness, then I should be there, I am not there. And so that way you cannot establish the non-existence of consciousness. So that is called vyabhichara. That is called exception. Or that is called the change. When something is there now and something is not there then. So vyabhichara in consciousness means consciousness exists in waking dream and consciousness does not exist in deep sleep. Then there is vyabhichara in consciousness, it is incidental. But consciousness cannot say that. Then who says, when you say that I do not see anything, who is that? The pure consciousness that you are cannot say that because this doesn't make sense. Then the condition you that you are, the drashta, shrota, manta, you think that that's what you are? You think that you are a seer, hearer, thinker, knower, and that I does not see, does not hear, does not know. That's okay. So when I say I do not see, what is the meaning of the word I? Does that word I mean unqualified consciousness, or it means the qualified hearer, seer, thinker? So now if you look at the anatomy, what drashta is made up of, then as GadyaVibhag explains, that there is the aham vritti. There is consciousness always there, aham vritti, the I thought that arises in the mind. And the consciousness gets reflected in the I thought. The reflected consciousness is called chidavasa. If you, whatever, chidava, reflected consciousness. Some you don't like, if you don't like this, use some other word, doesn't matter. Meaning that we need some explanation as to how the I thought becomes enlivened. You explain whichever way you want. But I thought, which is inert by itself, unconscious by itself, somehow gets enlivened. So I poses as a live conscious being. So then, that I thought with reflected consciousness becomes enlivened. And then, when the chakshushi vritti takes place in the mind, meaning when ghatakara vritti etc. takes place due to the action, activity of the eyes, then this fellow says, I am a drashta. So that illumined or enlivened eye keeps on assuming different roles as drashta. When darshanam takes place, So, when a vritti such as ghatakara, result of the perception of eyes, takes place in mind, then this fellow says, I am a drashta. When a vritti, shravana, meaning it takes place because of hearing, then he says, I am a shrota. So this aham vritti, which is enlivened by the consciousness, keeps on branding itself in different ways, depending upon what thought takes place in the mind. If seeing takes place in the mind, he says, I am a seer. If knowing takes place, I am a knower. So now, what is this seer, knower, thinker, what is he made up of? He is made up of aham vritti, reflected consciousness, and a given form which is a result of that vritti in the mind. It's called sanghata. It's an assembly of variety of things. No reflected consciousness is there. Reflected consciousness, I thought, that is what becomes subject. And the subject assumes different forms like the seer, thinker, knower, depending upon what activity takes place. So if you is a seer, drashta, shrota, manta, vijnata, which is nothing but a product of the I thought with the reflected consciousness. If that is what says, I don't say anything, then it says, tasya sammatatvat, parartham, anekatvam, it cannot be the nature of self. The drashta, shrota, manta, etc. cannot, what we call subject, in fact. Subject and object. What is subject? I thought is subject. What is object? The object thought is object. That I thought is not Atma, that's the whole idea here. I thought always, poses the Atma. It's called imposter. That's what Swami uses the word imposter. I thought always poses as Atma, as I. I'm the real one. And that fellow is raising all these objections. But I don't exist in deep sleep state. Where is consciousness? So is that I, is it the nature of Atma? Being subject also is not the nature of Atma, understand? So who is subject? Subject is one that is in contrast to the object. So subject is a relative term, sapeksha, with reference to object. The seer is with reference to seen. The hearer is with reference to heard. The seen goes away, the seer also goes away. When I'm looking at something, when that something is not there, the looker also goes away. What goes away cannot be the nature. Upon some platform, this going and coming, the seer comes and hearer goes, and hearer comes and thinker goes. This takes place. On a certain platform, it does not change. And that is the nature of the self. So if you are raising this objection, then in deep sleep state, I am not conscious of anything. Who is it you? That individual self, the subject, the I thought says that I do not see anything. That is not the nature of Atma anyway. Because sammatatvat, that drashta, shrota, manta, the subject is a sanghata, an assembly of I thoughts, reflected consciousness, that vritti, chakshushi vritti, all of this together becomes what? The drashta. That's called sanghata, that's called assembly. Samatatvat pararthyam. It is sanghata or assembly cannot be independent because it is assembled by something else, someone else. Not only that, it serves the purpose of someone else. The drashta, shrota themselves are serving the purpose of someone else. So pararthyam, anekatvam, that fellow will keep on changing. Now is drashta, then shrota, then manta, then vijnata. Sanghata cannot remain same. Because the fellows, the members that make up the assembly, none of that members is changeless. Each member changes. If there is a house which is assembled by so many entities, each one changes. Pillar also changes, the beam also changes, ceiling also changes, wall also changes, bricks also change, floor also changes. Is it not so? Not only each one of them changes every moment. Although we may not be able to note the change, it has to change every moment because what is created will perish. So next moment the house is different. Every moment Sanghata is different because every member making up that assembly itself is changing or perishable. Therefore, it makes the whole assembly also perishable and every moment different. So now drashta. So anekatvam samatattvat parartham, because it is an assembly that first serves the purpose of someone else. Anekatvam, it is never the same, constantly changes because the members making up the assembly themselves are changing. Nashitvam, because everything is limited, then that can be assembled. Everything limited is created. What is created is perishable. So each member is perishable. Therefore, the assembly of all the members also is perishable. Nashitvam cha. Na kenachit upatya varetum shakyam. So this drashta is a sanghata made up of the I thought, which is what? Changing. Aneka means now I thought is drashta, then shrota, nashito. In deep sleep that is not there. The I thought arises in the waking or in dream, is not in deep sleep. So I thought is what? Perishable. Even when it is there, constantly changing, anekatvam is there. And the I thought also is serves the purpose of something else. This ahankara also does various things for someone else. And that is the Atma, the consciousness. So, thus when we analyze what you call I, when you say I do not experience anything in deep sleep state, that there is no consciousness in deep sleep state, who says this? Consciousness cannot say that because it is not logical for consciousness to arrive at this conclusion. And this fellow is unconscious I. If it says that, it doesn't matter because he is not the real Atma anyway. And therefore, asvartasya swatasiddhi abhari avochama. Like a house, asvartha meaning which has no purpose of its own, which serves the purpose of someone else, such as Devadatta. That house cannot come into being by itself. Somebody has to brought it into being. Swata Siddhi means what? Comes into existence on its own. Anything that is parartham, which is meant for someone else, cannot exist on its own. Is brought into existence by someone else. Atma is what? Swata Siddha. Self-existing. Swaprakasha. Self-shining. Then you claims, I do not see anything, you are that subject, neither you are self-existing, nor self-shining, nor avinashi, imperishable. And therefore, that is not Atma, that's not the nature of Atma. So the Tika says, Nayanadi dvaraka buddhivritti upadi grastasya. Nayanadi dvaraka buddhivritti. Nayana means eyes. They are the dwara, the gate, from which the thought enters through the aperture of the eyes, let us say, and creates a thought in the mind called the thought or ghatakara vritti. So buddhivritti. What is buddhivritti? The thought in the buddhi of the mind. What is the thought? Of the form of ghata. How did that Ghadakara Vritti or a part thought take place? Nayanadi Dvaraka, through the gateway of the eyes, etc., that object enters the mind and creates a corresponding thought. All of this was established earlier that there are objects out there and separate, and they create the vrittis. Understand that all this was proven earlier. Otherwise, where are these objects? What I talk? So this is all settled earlier, if you remember. So, Nayanadi Dvaraka, Buddhi Vritti, Upadi Grastasya. That Buddhi Vritti becomes Upadhi. Becomes Vesha for this fellow say, I am a Drashta. So when these fellow subjects I am Drashta, when the Drashti or Darshanam, which is the Buddhi Vritti takes place, then he says, I am Drashta. When Shravanam, which is Buddhi Vritti takes place, he says, I am a Shrota. He keeps on branding himself differently depending on the state of mind. Mind is happy, I am happy. Sukhi aham. Where Sukha is the vritti in the mind. Sukha or happiness is the state of the mind. And when that takes place right away, what do I declare? I am Sukhi, I am happy. Dukkham, unhappiness also is the state of mind. What does this fellow say? Dukhi aham. Where is his independence? Every moment his form changes, he doesn't have any control. His form changes depending on state of mind, is it not so? That is like a Vesha, like a costume. As costume changes, he keeps declaring himself, I am a king, I am a beggar, I am so and so. So just as that Vesha or the costume is called Upadhi, because of which identification with which the actor brands himself differently as a king, beggar. So also this mind, where seeing takes place, hearing takes place, knowing takes place, then that becomes the Upadhi, the Vesha, the costume, in identification with which the subject is, I am a seer, hearer, thinker. Therefore, Nayanadi Dvaraka, Buddhi Vritti, Upadhi Grastasya, this fellow is Grasta. He has no freedom. The moment he puts on the question of a beggar is, I am a beggar. Who controls him? The costume controls him. So also he declares, I am a seer. Who controls that conclusion? The seeing that takes place in the mind creates that notion in him. Therefore, it was said, he is not independent. He is an assembly. He is perishable. He is changing. He is many. Samatattvat, Paratattvadikam, Parartham, Anegatvam, Nashitvam, Purama Upavaditam. All of these we have already established. Upavaditam with reasoning. No, all these fellows are making noise, that's why. Naidani upatti vaktavya. That you, if you think you are this fellow, Drashta, Shrota, then you are perishable, there is no question about that. That means you don't exist in deep sleep state. You are many, you are dependent. Dependent because you don't even have freedom in determining your identity. It is determined by the mind. Mind has Sukhakar Vritti, right away you say, I am Sukhi. Dukkhakar Vritti, I am Dukhi. Never, there is not self. Self is what? Self-effulgent, self-shining, self-existing, independent. And so you are not self. Then continuing the Tika says, Atrapi Shrutir Bhavati Na Drishte Drashtaram Pashye Na Shrude Shrotaram Shrunuyaha Namate Mantaram Manvithaha न विज्ञाते है विज्ञातारम Vijaniyaha Ityadya. Ityadya. Something is here, in this fellow, that somewhere. But anyway, don't worry, that's okay, let it be. Atrapi Shrutir Bhavati. That there is consciousness and deep sleep state, that there is Shruti, that one does not see while seeing, he does not see. An infrastructure required for me to say that I am a seer does not exist in deep sleep, therefore the seer is not there. That doesn't mean seeing is not there. So they were saying. Secondly, this fellow who claims to be the self, Atma, the imposter, he cannot know the Atma. The drishte drashtaram pashye. Drishte, the sixth case of the word drishti. Means seeing. The drishte drashtaram pashye. Drashta means seer. Drishte drashtaram na pashye. Yes, that looks all right. Drishte of seeing. Drashtaram, the seer. Na pashye, you cannot see the seer of seeing. Look at this. There is seeing, hearing, thinking, talking, walking. All the actions are taking place. There is a seer of the seeing, hearer of hearing, talker of talking, walker of walking. Shrotrasya shrotram, manasah manah, vachoho vacham. So, drishte drashtaram na pashye. Everybody is very moody, and so you never know how things will behave. So, this fellow is like that. Drishte of the seeing, drashtaram na pashye. You cannot see the seer of seeing. Grammatically, what this means is, you cannot see the seer of seeing. Na pashye, you cannot see. Drashtaram, the seer. Drishti of seeing. You cannot see the seer of seeing. Very complicated sentence. You cannot see the seer of seeing. So now there will be two seers. When I see, then I am a seer. But he says there is a seer of seeing also. Seeing a part, seeing a cloth. There is an illuminator of that vritti. So the vritti cannot illumine the illuminator. You himself illuminated cannot illumine the illuminator. What was said earlier. Na shrute shrotaram shrunuyaha, na shrunuyaha, you cannot hear. Shrotaram, the hearer. Shrute of hearing, you cannot hear the hearer of hearing. You cannot see the seer of seeing. Namate mantaram manvitaha, you cannot think of the thinker of thinking. Na vijñate vijñataram vijaniyaha, you cannot know the knower of knowing. Ityadya Shruti. So how do you understand this Vakya? So Tika says, Asminstu Shruti Vakye Shashthyanta Shabdavachya Drishtya Dehe Anya Drashtru Vyapyataya Achaitanya Swabhavatva Uktehe Tadanyaha Drishtyaade Swarupa Prakashakatvena Drashtrade Shabda Nirdishtaha Sakshi Nitya Chaitanya Swabhavaha Siddha Iti Upasamharade chaitanya swarupasya tu iti. Asmimstu Shruti Vakya, in this Shruti Vakya which we just read, Shashthyanta Shabdavachya Drishtyadehe. There is Drishtehe, Shrutehe, Matehe, Vijñatehe. These are the sixth cases of what? Shruti, the sixth case, Shrutehe. Then Drishti, Drustehe. Matihi, Matehe, Vijñatihi, Ikaranta, like Mati. So that is the Sashthyanta, meaning what? The word ending with sixth case. So all these words. So Drishtehe, take one. Drishtehe is the sixth case of Drishti. Similarly, Shrutehe, Matehe, all of these are the words ending in sixth case. Drishtyadehe, Drishti, etc. So Drishti, which is the sixth case of the word Drishti. Now see what it says. Drishtehe drashtaram. Drashta, the seer of seeing of Drishti. The seer of Drishti. Drishtehe drashta. Drashta means seer. Drishtehe of seeing. Seer of seeing. Now, what is the relationship between the seer and seen? We just analyze how if the pot is seen by me, it means that I illumine the pot. The seer illumines what is seen. Eyes illumine the pot, mind illumines the eyes, and I illumine the mind. That way, I, the seer, illumine the seen. So, of the drishti which is seen, the seer of the seeing. So seeing is one thing, then there is a seer who sees that seeing. You follow? No, what is seen is always jadam. Like pot, etc., which are all seen, are all illumined by the consciousness who is the seer. So similarly, the seeing, hearing, thinking, etc., they also have a drashta. The seer of the seeing, the hearer of the hearing, that means seeing is illumined by the seer, drashta. There is drashti and there is drashta of the drashti, you see. Now a different drashta is there. We know ourselves as drashta, shrota, I am a seer, hearer, thinker. But Shruti says that when do I become seer? When seeing takes place. But the seeing that takes place, there is a seer of that seeing also. Meaning Sandhya illumines that seeing also. Seer illumines the seen. So seeing itself is seen. Therefore, the illuminator of seeing, illuminator of hearing, illuminator of thinking. So drishtehe drashta. Drashta is what? The illuminator of drashti. Shrutehe shrota. The illuminator of shruti. Therefore, all this shashtantya, all of these words that end with the sixth case, like seeing, hearing, knowing, thinking, knowing, to the drashta, there is a hearer of hearing, seer of seeing, thinker of thinking, knower of knowing. Meaning what? Illuminator of seeing, illuminator. Don't take knower in the primary sense. Knower means illuminator of the known. If there is a seer of seeing, means there is an illuminator of seeing, illuminator of hearing, illuminator of thinking, illuminator of knowing. Meaning this seeing, hearing also are not independent. They also are able to perform that function because they are illuminated or enlivened by something else. So there is, understand, this seeing is not ultimate seeing. When you see the pot, the seeing of pot takes place, but that seeing itself is illuminated by another one. It's called drashta. What drashta? Drishtehe drashta. This is the ghatasya drashta, that I am. Because there is a ghata drishti, perception of ghata. But there is a drishtehe drashta, meaning that the perceiver of the perception. Meaning the whole vyavahara of the drashta, drishya, darshanam, all of that is illumined by another one, that is consciousness. And that consciousness, drashta cannot see, You cannot ride on your own shoulders. Therefore, this Drishti, Shruti, Mati, all of these are illumined, and then they are illumined, therefore they are inert, understand? What is illumined is unconscious, so Anya Drashtu Vyapyataya Drushte Drashtaram. The Drishti is pervaded by, is illumined by another Drashta. Therefore, Achaitanya Swabhavatvokte. By saying Drushte, like by saying that, Ghatasya Drashta. When you say Ghatasya Drashta, automatically Ghata is known and there is a knower. So the illuminator of Ghata. When you say Ghatasya Drashta, by saying that Ghata is illumined and there is illuminator. So Drashte Drashta. That means Drishti is illumined, the another illuminator. What is illumined is unconscious. So the Drishti, Shruti, Mati, seeing, hearing, thinking, all of these are declared in the sentence as unconscious. So Achaitanya Swabhavatvokte, that's the way of saying that they are all Achaitanya. That Achaitanya requires a Chaitanya. Tadanya Drishtyadi Surupakashakatvena Drashta. Who is Drashta? Drishte Drashta. Who is Drashta? Drashta is the one that illumines that Drishti, which is Achaitanam. Nirdishta Sakshi. So we call him Drashta. We call him Shrota. But then you add one Nitya Drashta. We say it a number of times, Anitya Drashta, and there is Nitya Drashta, Nitya Shrota, Nitya Manda, Nitya Vijnata. There is Nirdishta Sakshi. So Sakshi or witness is thus pointed out by Shruti by saying that the one that is a seer of seeing. In Kenopanishad, Shrotrasya Shrotram, the hearer, ear of the ear. Meaning what? The illuminator of the ear. Manasaha Manaha, declaring thereby that one ear is unconscious, Achetanam, which requires another ear to illumine that. Manasaha Manaha, that one Manaha, second one is what? Achetanam, of which that illuminator is called the mind of the mind. It's not the another mind. It's called witness or illuminator, the consciousness. Sakshi Nitya Chaitanya Swabhava Siddha. The fact that all of these are perceived, all of these are illumined, all of these are, therefore there is an illuminator which is established by the fact of this being illumined. Meaning that we see right now all these objects, people, etc. sitting in the hall, all of them can be seen. Means that there is a light which illumines them, without which they cannot be seen. So you may not see the light, but you see the object. So by seeing the object, you know that object cannot be seen unless it is illumined by the light. And therefore no vyavahara can take place unless it's all illumined by consciousness. Iti nityate swava siddhayate upasamharati. From the statement of Shruti, we take it as pramana. And what this statement means? That there is a nitya chaitanya. There is the changeless consciousness that illumines all the functions of all the various organs, sense organs of action and mind. So the last sentence in the passage 91 says, Chaitanya Swarupasyato Atmanaha Swatassiddhe Anya Anapekshatvam Nakenachita Varayitum Shakyam Avyavichara. Of course, the question is asked sometimes that if there is a drashta of the drashti, is there a drashta of the drashta or not? If part is illumined by the seeing, seeing is illumined by consciousness. But how about if every illuminator is illumined, then if conscious illuminator, is it not illumined? But that will be, this is infinite regression, anavastha dosha. So someday something must be self-effulgent for the illumination to take place. Therefore, Chaitanya Swarupasyatu Atmana Swatassiddhe Atma, that is Chaitanya Swarupa, consciousness in nature. Svadasiddhe. It does not require anybody to say that you are there. I accept you because you are there. It's self-existing, self-shining, self-sufficient. Anya anapeksh, that means that it does not depend upon anything else for it to exist. Does not depend upon anything else for it to shine. Na kenachit, nobody can prove that Atma is not self-existing, that consciousness that illumines everything, nobody can prove that it is illumined. You follow? The consciousness that illumines everything, nobody can prove that it is illumined. The consciousness that imparts existence to everything, nobody can prove that it is also given existence by something else. Abhyavicharat, because consciousness is always there. In the waking it is there, in dream it in particular form. In dream it is there, in particular form. In deep sleep it is there, in the non-particular form. Abhyavicharat. Therefore, consciousness never ceases to shine, never ceases to be, and therefore that is the ultimate reality. So you cannot say that there is no consciousness in deep sleep state. For to say that also, consciousness must be there for you to say that. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.